What up, y'all? It's your guy Dawson from Dawson Speak TV and D&D TV. Thank you for rating, commenting, subscribing, and sharing the videos on this channel. Much love to those who support this channel by donating. I appreciate it. All that information is in the description box underneath the video. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notifications when I drop a new video. Now let's get into this topic. Alright, thanks for clicking on the video. Now, this video is for educational purposes, and as I approach this topic with respect, I want you all to please be respectful in my comment section. Thanks. Now, before I get into this story, I want to say that Dawson Speaks TV does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, gender expression, age, national origin, disability, marital status, sexual orientation, military status, or political affiliation. Now, this story comes out of Florida, Tampa, Florida, and a big shout out to all of my people in Tampa, Florida, and surrounding areas. Mrs. Neon Frazier, she goes by Neon for short, and Mrs. Evelyn Manley are two women who have big hearts for the least, the lost, and the left out in their community. So much so that they both decided to become volunteers and advocates for those that are disenfranchised. Mrs. Frazier and Mrs. Manley refused to remain quiet about the injustice of the people, especially the ill treatment of our veterans. Now, having volunteered in New Beginnings homeless shelter for quite some time, Mrs. Frazier and Mrs. Manley simply had enough. They both had enough of what they said was a hostile environment where the CEO, Pastor Tom Atchison, used the employees, volunteers, and clients as verbal punching bags. Which is the reason why both Mrs. Frazier and Mrs. Manley decided to leave New Beginnings homeless shelter. However, they both still worried about the clients they left behind that would have to deal with the ill treatment from Pastor Tom Atchison. With the care and concern of the clients constantly on their minds, both women took it upon themselves to contact the local news station to inform the public of what some staff, volunteers, and residents have to endure on a daily basis from Pastor Tom Atchison. Both ladies told the news reporter that Pastor Tom Atchison called them both the help. Yes, the help, like maids, and that he would often call them the N-word. They also said that Pastor Tom Atchison would make homophobic remarks about one of the residents that currently resides at the program, and they had concerns about how the grant money was being used. Wow. Now, Pastor Tom Atchison was confronted by the news reporter, Aid on Your Side, about these allegations. And Pastor Tom Atchison told the news reporter that both ladies are lying and that they're just angry because they want to run his program. He said, they think they could run it better than me, and that's not going to happen. To which Mrs. Neon Frazier responded, we wanted to run it better. There were times he couldn't even keep the lights and water on. Where did the money go? Wow. Well, that's what I want to know, Miss Frazier. Where is the money going, Pastor Tom? And how are the residents being treated at your program? We got a lot to unpack here. But before I continue, I'm going to let you all watch this video, and I'll be back with the rest of my commentary. And you know me, I'm Dawson, and I won't hold back.
Keith, New Beginnings has received millions of dollars in taxpayer money over the years to house homeless veterans. The pastor who runs it tells me he has always welcomed everyone regardless of color or sexual orientation. But former employees and volunteers claim some of his remarks made them feel unwelcome.
What are we having for dinner tonight?
New Beginnings CEO Tom Atchison tells us he's never said a racial or homophobic slur. Neon Frazier, who volunteered at the shelter for 4 years, is one of several who claim otherwise.
Then he would refer to us as, you're talking about whatever. Who's playing that music? I like the guys the veterans want to hear. Well, they don't need to hear that.
Another allegation Atchison denies is he would not let Bobby Coy live here because of his sexual identity.
He didn't have any respect for me or my decisions.
He would call her all kinds of things that's not polite. A lot of homophobic things that he would say.
Coy says the issue started when he was homeless and asked to move in to New Beginnings.
Pastor Tom was actually in the office, and he made the comment that that's not going to happen.
Did you refuse to let Bobby Coy live here because of his sexual orientation?
No.
Coy did eventually move in and was later employed until he was terminated along with 10 others late last month. They claim they were fired after questioning how Atchison spent federal funds to run New Beginnings that we're told receives about $70,000 a month from the VA. Why did you stay there if it was a hostile environment?
Because I know the vets need my help.
Would you swear to this that you heard these words more than once?
How many Bibles can you bring? Because I can put my hands on all of them. Want me to put my feet on them too? Because that is definitely the truth.
Pastor, I've talked to more than a dozen former employees and witnesses who say they've heard you say these remarks. Are they all lying?
Yes.
All of them are lying.
Yes.
All right, y'all, let's go in. Now, let me say this before I get started. Pastor Tom Atchison, you having all the black residents behind you while you're being interviewed by the reporter, that was so staged. I'm like, he's trying to make himself look good, but I digress. Now, I know there are some of you who will believe the volunteers, the employees, and the residents about some of the horrible names they were called by Pastor Tom Atchison. However, there are some people who will say Dawson. When certain people don't get their way, they pull out the race card. Or when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus individual, it's always discrimination. I mean, is there anything else that Pastor Atchison did? Did he misuse funds? Are there any other complaints? Is this the only thing that they're bringing up? What is the history of him and his homeless shelter? Do you have anything else, Dawson? Well, I'm glad you asked. You all know I did my research, so let me give you a little history on Pastor Tom Atchison, his program, and his shady ways. On December 5th, 2014, Tampa Bay Times wrote an article explaining why the concessions company for Tampa Bay Buccaneers had to cut ties with New Beginnings Homeless Shelter because the program sent its residents to work without pay at the Raymond James Stadium in exchange for their shelter. A spokesperson for the Buccaneers said, and I quote, "The recent allegations are deeply concerning, and after further review, we've decided to end our relationships with New Beginnings Homeless Shelter." I got more. That same month and year, December 31st, 2014, the Tampa Bay Times wrote another article, and there's the article, you can look it up yourself. A month before reports of his charity's treatment of homeless sparked controversy, New Beginnings of Tampa's founder, Pastor Tom Atchison, was fighting to save his church in federal bankruptcy court. Pastor Tom Atchison's New Life Pentecostal Church. Wait a minute, he's Pentecostal? Now I know he's guilty. Pastor Tom Atchison's New Life Pentecostal Church owed more than $900,000 to a Texas bank. On October 23rd, 2014, the bank's lawyer urged the judge to allow an auction of the church's property. But listen to this, you all. The church's lawyer said that Pastor Tom Atchison had plans to pay down the debt. New Beginnings had just won a big grant. The pastor's attorney told the judge that New Life Pentecostal Church could use the money to pay the bank back. One problem, pastor's attorney. The grant money from Hillsborough County was supposed to pay for emergency shelter for homeless people. It could not be put toward the church's debt, a county spokesperson said in court. Pastor Tom and his attorneys were asking a federal judge to allow him to misuse public grant money to save his church. Now, while the judge ultimately rejected the plan, dismissed the bankruptcy case, an auction of New Life's Pentecostal Church property was scheduled for February the 2nd, 2015. All of this shows the questionable ways in which Pastor Tom has run his New Beginnings program, one of Tampa's largest homeless shelters. Records also show that Pastor Tom Atchison lied. He lied and listed Tampa City Councilman Charlie Miranda on the New Beginnings boards of directors for several years. The city councilman said his name was used without his permission and that he's never been involved with New Beginnings Homeless Shelter. Why did you lie on the city councilman, Pastor Tom? There's Charlie right there. Charlie said he don't know you like that and that he's never been a part of your program. Come on, nah. Don't lie on Mr. Charlie. Mr. Charlie is just a man, and he's doing the best he can, being the city councilman for District 6 in Tampa, Florida. Tom, rest up to Florida Soul Sister Miami Gardens' very own Miss Betty Wright. We speak your name, sister. There's a director of a local nonprofit for teens in foster care. She declined to refer homeless 18-year-olds to New Beginnings due to concerns that Pastor Tom Atchison wanted to warehouse them, they put that in quotes, with violent criminals and addicts because there was evidence that you had done this before when they referred 18-year-olds who aged out of foster care to your program. Now, this is the last one. Let me hit you with this. On August 4th, 2021, Army veteran Roger Hardnett contacted the same news station, and I believe it's the same reporter, Channel 8 on your side, to inform the public of the horrible conditions that him and other veterans have to endure at the program. Roger said he recently decided that sleeping in his car while he waits for the Department of Veterans Affairs housing voucher was a better option than Tampa's New Beginnings homeless shelter. Take a breath. Roger told the news reporter that they had bed bugs and that the place was hazardous. So, if you don't believe Mrs. Frazier or Mrs. Manley or Bobby, surely you'll believe Roger. Why does he have to lie on Pastor Tom Atchison? And this pisses me off because I have a special place in my heart for our veterans. This man fought for our country, and this is how he's treated? Look at how our vets are treated when they come back home. I said this on the other video about the other pastor, and I'm saying it to you, Tom. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good. Tom, you're no good. And I got my eye on you and your program. And I know that people in Tampa are going to see this. And if you all need to call 8 on your side, there's the number right there to call. Now, let me say this. As a social worker, I've had clients that were homeless. And I'd always say, why don't you go to a shelter? Why don't you go here? And some of my clients and people I know would tell me, Mr. Dawson, have you ever been to a homeless shelter? Do you know how they treat you in there? Do you know the conditions? And some people would say, I feel safer outside, sleeping in the park, sleeping under the bridge than I do at a homeless shelter. And I could never relate to what they were saying about some, not all homeless shelters, until I myself started visiting homeless shelters and doing research on them. Now I understand completely what my clients and some other individuals were trying to tell me. Some of these places are trash, complete trash. And if you're getting federal grant money, you at least got to make sure the lights are on and the water is on. You got to make sure they got food there and you have a staff that knows how to deal with this particular population. So, Pastor Tom Atchison, all of these people can't be lying on you because you have a timeline, sir, of questionable behavior and business dealings. It's documented in courts and online for the public to see. So, yes, I believe everything that Miss Manley and Miss Frazier said and Bobby. And don't worry, Tom. You're going to have your day. And when that day comes, I'm going to be right here to report on it. Now I'm off of this. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this video. Y'all, please thumbs up the video. Share the video with family and friends. Thank you those who support this channel and say, Brother Dawson, you bless me. I'm going to bless you back. I appreciate it. Love you so much. Until next time, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Please take care of yourself and each other. Peace.